Harry Kane was just 3 minutes from a Champions League final before late Joselu double. Before this game, Bayern Munich manager Thomas Tuchel had talked about the legend of Real Madrid and how it would have no bearing on the outcome. "It's not about a myth, it's about football," had essentially been his message. And he was right, too. Because when this tumultuous tie finally swung from Germany to Spain, and out of the hands of Harry Kane and into those of Jude Bellingham, it was nothing to do with the power or the lore of Real Madrid. It was due to a simple mistake, an error from a goalkeeper of the kind you may expect to see some way down the English football pyramid or even on a park's pitch on a Sunday morning. Sometimes that's all it takes, even at this level. It's these things that can change the way matches and tournaments and seasons play out. These are things that can influence and even shape careers. And if Kane does one day end his own professional life without a medal to show for all his years of brilliance, he may one day look back at the moment Manuel Neuer somehow failed to keep hold of a very tame shot from Real Madrid's Brazilian flyer Vinicius Jr. With 3 minutes to go here at this wonderful sporting theatre, Bayern were a goal up and heading for a Champions League final at Wembley. Real had played well and dominated for long periods, but the only goal belonged to the Germans. It had been scored brilliantly by the Canadian Alphonso Davies with 22 minutes left. And when Vinicius cut in from the left in the 88th minute, his shot was probably the lamest of his night. It bounced in front of Neuer, a 38-year-old goalkeeper with 117 German caps, and into his midriff and then, inexplicably, straight out again. Neuer may have got away with it on another day. Jude Bellingham ousted England teammate Harry Kane to reach the Champions League final with Real Madrid. Kane's Bayern side were 3 minutes from success but will go through the season without a trophy. Joselu scored a late double from the bench as Madrid turned the game on its head in their hunt for a 15th Champions League trophy. He could easily have scooped it back up, but lurking nearby was a former Stoke City striker, on loan at Real from Espanyol, who had only been on the field a matter of moments. Joselu was keen and hungry and had gambled, and within a millisecond the equalizer was his. From there on the script was predictable. As Bayern began to look for extra time, and with Kane by now on the bench having been removed at 1-0, the force of Real's belief propelled them forwards. They have, it must be said, travelled this road before. And when Joselu found himself unmarked 3 minutes later, he volleyed in the winning goal of a remarkable denouement from 6 yards. An offside flag briefly stalled Real's celebrations, but the VAR system that works so quickly and so well in the Champions League revealed Joselu to have been onside. Bayern tried to come again in the time that was left, and it would have helped had Kane still been on the field. Tuchel's decision to take him off seemed odd. Matthijs de Ligt did put the ball in the net, but long after another offside had been called. Bayern, and in particular the former Tottenham defender Eric Dier, seemed desperately upset about that. Afterwards Tuchel revealed himself similarly miffed. But by then Bayern heads must have been spinning. This was a game that had been superbly managed by the Germans, and to have allowed the result to have been stolen from them in such a fashion will follow them into the summer and indeed a new season, whoever Tuchel's replacement as coach will be. It's impossible not to be in awe of Real, of course. They now have a chance to win their 15th European Cup and their 6th in the last 11 years. Things like that don't happen by accident. Nevertheless, they were outplayed by Manchester City in the second leg of their quarter-final in England and went through on penalties. And now this. Bellingham was cheered to the heavens when he was taken off near the end and was in tears at full time. His debut season in the Spanish capital has already brought him more than 20 goals and a La Liga title. By the time he heads to Germany with England for the European Championships in June, he could be a Champions League winner too. He is still only 20 years old. He was not his team's best player here, though. No, Vinicius Jr. was. The Brazilian terrorized and terrified the Bayern right-back Joshua Kimmich all night. In the first half he hit the far post with a blistering cross shot, Neuer saved the follow-up from Rodrigo, and in the first 10 minutes of the second period caused such havoc that it was a miracle his team didn't profit from any of it. Rodrigo came the closest during that passage of play, diverting one pullback from his colleague 6 inches wide of the far post. Eric Dier, centre, also played the whole game but won't be heading back to Wembley for the final. Carlo Ancelotti's Madrid will be the ones to take on Borussia Dortmund at Wembley on June 1st. Kane, meanwhile, will have to wait at least another year if he is to win his first club trophy. Alphonso Davies had given Bayern a somewhat surprising lead just over 20 minutes from time with an impressive strike. It was the normally reliable Manuel Neuer, right, however, whose error gifted the hosts their equaliser. Bellingham will now fight for glory at Wembley, facing his old side in Borussia Dortmund. Bayern were often under pressure but rarely under siege. Throughout it all they carried a threat on the break. Kane had worked real goalkeeper Andre Lunin with a smart volley from 18 yards in the first half and then made a typically sweeping pass to send Davies away down the left in the 67th minute. Davies was only on because of a first-half injury to Serge Gnabry, but he was to make quite an impact with his first Champions League goal. He was still some way from goal with the angle against him as he dropped his shoulder and shifted the ball onto his right foot. But the ensuing shot was perfectly struck across a goalkeeper who never had a chance. Real almost equalized immediately, but Nacho's goal was ruled out by VAR for a clear shove on Kimmich. And that may have been it. That may have been enough for Bayern. But, no. It's Bellingham and a reserve forward who spent 2 seasons in the Potteries who will fight for glory in London. For Kane and indeed Dier, their wait for something to place on the sideboard goes on. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this, don't forget like and subscribe this channel. Goodbye.